Okay, so we want to factor this expression. What are we going to do? Well, the first step is always to ask ourselves, check if there, Ronald's right there, if there's any number or letter in common to all three terms. So all three of these guys, is there some number or letter that goes into all three? Now you might right away look, oh yeah, look, they all have an X. And so I'm going to put the X in the front and then just do the big parenthesis, and it'll be 7x squared minus 56x plus 84. That would be wrong if we did that. It's partly right, but it's not good enough. Why not? What's the problem? Well, you think they all have an X in common? Yeah, they do, but they also have a number. You got to get everything, numbers and letters they have in common. They also have that 7. So we can't just say they have an X in common. That's not the whole story. They're also, that 7 goes into all three. Use your calculator, you'll see. They're all divisible by 7. This is 8, and this is, what's that, 12? Sorry, I'm bumping this all over the place. This is 12, 74. Yeah. So therefore, I'm going to put in the front 7 and X. You've got to put all they have in common. If it's a yes, then you put the common part in front, one big parenthesis. So the common part is 7x. It's even more bigger. All right, so then what goes on the inside is going to be 3 terms on the inside, minus between those and a plus between those, right? Minus and a plus. Okay, and then what goes in the first part? Whatever works. 7x times what? We'll go back to 7x cubed. X squared. Remember, we've done this kind of factoring before, right? Remember this? This is way back at the beginning of this chapter. Okay, and then 7x times what? We'll go back to minus 56x squared. Well, the 8, and then we need an x, because the invisible 1 power and 1 power goes back to the 2 power. Remember, the powers add. And finally, so 7x times what? This would be 12 to go back to 84x. All right, now, step 2, you're going to leave the common and break into 2 parentheses. So we're going to have common in the front, and then we're going to have 2 parentheses. So I leave that 7x in the front. He is part of the final answer. And now I'm going to break that one big parenthesis into 2. How so? You know, you've seen this before. It's multiply, add, multiply, right? We're looking for the numbers that'll do that. So x is in the front because x times x is x squared. You good there? And now, what numbers multiply to be plus 12? Let me write it over here. What multiplies to be 12? Well, you know, 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 1 times 12 is 12. Well, how do we know which ones we want? Well, they have to also add to be -8. Which ones can add to be an 8? The 2 and the 6, right? So it's got to be 2 and 6. Either order, you put 6 and 2. Why either order? Because they're both just going with an x in the front, aren't they? They're both just going with an x in the front. There's nothing more complex. Doesn't matter what order. So now what signs? Remember how the signs go? The sign in the middle goes on the bigger number. So the sign in the middle will go on the bigger number. Now, the other one can be positive, or the smaller number can be positive or negative. It just depends on what you need. But it's for sure the case, always the case, 100% of the time the case, that the sign in the middle will always go to the bigger number. So we have negative in the middle. The negative is going right. When I say middle, I'm, first, second, third, right? The sign in the middle will always go on the bigger number. Now, the other one can be positive or the smaller number. The smaller number can be positive or negative depending on what do we need. What do we need? We need -8. So it's got to be negative also, right? Because -2 and -6, right? If you lose $2, if you lose $2 and lose $6, you lost $8. And the two negatives multiply to be positive, don't they? So it's right. And that's our final answer. Let me bring it up here. So it's 7x, x minus 2, x minus 6. You can switch the order. You can put the 6 here and the 2 there. It doesn't matter what order they're in. That's how do we know this is right? We took the 7x on the first step and we saw that it multiplied back to go back. And then we found these two numbers add to be -8 and they multiply to be +12. So it's correct. There we go.